Here's a list of the top 10 beginner mistakes holding you back in Mario Kart World. We're going to start with simple changes that total beginners can make right away, but then we'll work our way all the way up to more advanced tricks that only the pros have mastered. First up, we have a default setting that you'll want to make sure you change. Mario Kart is a series that's prided itself on being an approachable game for all players. So in Mario Kart 8, they introduced a new setting called Smart Steering. This is an option designed to help keep new players from falling off the track. It's back in Mario Kart World, and it's actually enabled from the start. Now, if you're a complete beginner, you may be thinking, why wouldn't I want this? Well, turns out, even though it will keep you on the track, Smart Steering has several disadvantages. Having it on will actually prevent you from using some of the more advanced tricks in this video as well. One of the most obvious disadvantages is that Smart Steering can sometimes change your path in the middle of a race unexpectedly. It might stick you closer to the edges on some tracks, making it harder for you to get on the fastest part of the track. It also limits your ability to access certain shortcuts, and perhaps worst of all, it prevents you from using the fastest mini turbo boost. But more on those in a bit. Honestly, Smart Steering is kind of like training wheels for Mario Kart. It's fine to use starting out, but once you start learning the tracks, and especially if you start racing online, you'll definitely want to disable it. Now, speaking of that kart selection, another beginner mistake is not paying attention to the stats of both your character and your kart. Now, unfortunately, Nintendo does make this a little bit confusing here. So if you're just looking at the character select screen, there actually aren't any stats displayed here. And if you're a total newcomer, you might think, well, there aren't any stats for the characters. After picking your character though, and then getting to the kart selection, you can now press Y to open up additional details. This will show your speed, acceleration, weight, and handling. But here's the tricky part. You see, the character you picked on the screen before actually has an impact on the stats you see here. Heavy characters have more speed and weight, but will drop your acceleration and handling. Lighter characters have the opposite effect. For regular Grand Prix, knockout tours, and online races, you almost always want to have a good bit of acceleration. This is the stat that controls how fast you can reach your kart's top speed. So this becomes especially important anytime you're frequently getting hit by items or accidentally going off-road. The handling and weight stats are a bit more subjective, so experiment with different combos and go with what feels best for you. Now, once you get onto the track, one of the first techniques you need to master is drifting, plus the mini turbo system. Holding R or ZR while tilting the left stick in any direction will send your kart into a drift. This is incredibly useful for navigating tight corners, and there are moments you'll want to use it on every single track in Mario Kart World. Even better though, these drifts give you a boost of speed known as mini turbos. In fact, there are 3 different levels to them. Hold your drift for a few seconds and you'll see blue sparks. Releasing now will give you a small boost. If you hold for a bit longer though, you'll get orange sparks and a medium boost. Or you can hold it for even longer and get multicolored sparks to get the maximum mini turbo boost possible. Most beginners either don't drift at all or they release the drift too early. Oh, and by the way, if you have that Smart Steering option turned on, you won't be able to get that maximum speed boost from the mini turbo. As far as how you actually use this, just start approaching corners with a drift and then watch your sparks carefully. Tilting your left stick into the turn will actually help you get the mini turbos faster, but it could leave you in a bad spot on the track or even take you off-road. Instead, I actually prefer rocking the left stick back and forth ever so slightly. For any of you who played Mario Kart Double Dash, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This should help you get the mini turbos faster, but also make it easier to keep your kart in a safe position on the track. Another way to get a speed boost is by tricking off your jumps. Tricks have been around since Mario Kart Wii, but it's still a mechanic that I see completely ignored by new players in Mario Kart World. Truthfully, every single jump is a missed opportunity for some extra speed if you're not tricking. Just as you're about to go airborne, or even a bit after, you can press R or ZR to perform a trick. After doing the trick, you'll get a slight speed boost when you land. Now, if you're tilting the left stick in any direction, you can actually influence the type of trick you perform. Mario Kart World even makes it possible for you to trick multiple times in midair. This can help you land your kart in just the right spot after some high jumps. Before you know it, tricking off ramps will become second nature, and you'll do it every single time without even thinking about it. Now, regardless of the mode you're playing, getting as many speed boosts as possible is crucial for mastering Mario Kart World. Of course, the most common ways are boost pads and items like the Dash Mushroom or Golden Dash Mushroom. But at the same time, there's actually another super simple way to get a speed boost, and it doesn't even require an item or a special skill. All you have to do is get close to the kart in front of you. This is actually based on a real-world technique that even NASCAR drivers use called drafting, or slipstreaming as some refer to it. In Mario Kart though, the effect is way more pronounced than in the real world. If you follow closely behind the kart in front of you, you'll start to see a little slipstream effect as the air moves past. After just a few seconds of following closely, your kart will get a boost of speed to rocket you past the racer in front of you. Sometimes this can even help you pass multiple racers. Pretty much anytime you're close to other racers, you should always be looking for an opportunity to use this. Now, the tricky part is when other racers can see exactly what you're trying to do. If they spot you coming, they might have an item ready for just the moment that you get too close. So it's usually a good idea to try and time this after they've already used another item. Now, it turns out one way that you can fight back against a player drafting behind you is by using this next tip. Now, this one can be a bit tricky. Believe it or not, I actually learned this one from an actual Mario Kart 8 pro. Years ago, I used to stream a lot of Mario Kart 8 on Twitch, and occasionally I'd get matched up against pros, which honestly, I didn't even know was a thing at the time. Well, one of those pros actually started dropping by the stream regularly, and he told me that I wasn't looking behind nearly as much as I should be. Yeah, it turns out looking behind is actually an important maneuver that can help you in a few different areas of Mario Kart World. All you have to do is press and hold down the X button to see everything going on behind you. The biggest perk here is that you can see what the other races are up to. Is there a group battling it out for second place, or is someone comfortably ahead and lining up to snipe you with a green shell? Pay very close attention to the item usage here, as sometimes you'll be able to see what item a player has before they actually use it. The learning curve here on this one is definitely a bit higher than the others because obviously you don't want to be doing this for too long at the wrong moment. That could result in you completely missing something ahead of you. You'll only want to do it periodically and usually only for a few seconds. Personally, I find it especially useful when I'm in first because it can help me line up items to attack someone behind me or see if there's a player attempting to get in position for that slipstream boost that we just talked about. Now, everybody knows how important items are in Mario Kart, but how you actually use those items, that's what starts to separate the amateurs from the pros. Beginners and amateurs have a tendency to immediately spam items or use them at completely the wrong time. It's also very easy to let frustration get in the way and spam 3 mushrooms when you really should space them out instead. Using items should really always do one of 3 things: help you gain position, defend your position, or recover your position. When, where, and how you use your items will determine how effective they are at doing one of those 3 things. You always want to be aware of how much time is left in the race, where you're at on the track, and what's going on with the other racers around you. Honestly, I could probably make an entire video just talking about this, all the best, most optimal ways to use items, but for now, let's cover just a few common examples. Let's say you get a triple dash mushroom. Sure, you can use all 3 back to back to back. It's going to help you gain some ground, but what if you're then immediately hit by a red shell? All that ground you gained will almost immediately be lost. Instead, you could actually hold back on at least one of those mushrooms. Then if you get hit by a shell or any other item, you'll be able to use that last dash mushroom to help you recover much faster. Of course, you always have to be cautious of lightning strikes and getting your item stolen by a boo as well. Now, another example, let's say 2 of the dash mushrooms are enough to get you into first place. You might think, well, hey, let's go ahead and use that last one to extend our lead as much as possible. Personally, I think you'd be much better off to hold that dash mushroom in first place, just in case someone fires a spiny shell your way. That's because in Mario Kart World, it's easier than ever to dodge them with mushrooms if you time it just right. Coins are another good example. If you're in first place, chances of you getting a coin out of an item box are pretty high. I highly recommend holding the coin until you can pick up another item, as this will significantly increase your odds of getting a defensive item on that next pickup. That's because you can never hold multiple coins at the same time. Now, it's true a recent update actually made it possible to get the question block item even when you're in first and even if you're already holding a coin. Even still, the advice to hold your coin in first, I think, remains valid. That's because it still will increase your odds of getting a defensive item. If you happen to be in second or third and you pull a dash mushroom or super horn, it can be tempting to use them right away to try and help you get out in front. Depending on where you're at in the race though, you might actually want to hang on to them. Let's say you're close enough to where drafting or a few mini turbos could help you get out in front. Then you'd be out in front and still have your item, which would help you avoid a spiny shell or quickly recover if you get hit by something else. There are strategies for back of the pack items as well. If you have a star or mega mushroom, try and time it when you're already close to an opponent. That way you can almost guarantee that you'll instantly get a hit on someone. And hey, if you're in the middle of the pack against a bunch of other racers, sometimes it's best to let items like the triple banana and the triple green shell, let them work as both an attack item and a defensive item. Now, with all the tips I've discussed so far, those should be more than enough to help you master all the offline modes. But if you want to take your skills online, you'll need to make sure you stop making these last few mistakes. Like the fact that 98% of you aren't subscribed to this channel. When it comes to the Mario Kart tips though, our next mistake actually involves 2 of the best new additions to Mario Kart World: wall riding and rail grinding. These new mechanics provide some much needed depth to the Mario Kart formula that we've come to know and love over the years. And don't get me wrong, you can totally get by without mastering them and maybe even win an online race or 2. But to really take your skills to the next level and to help you win consistently online, you need to learn how to use these effectively. This is one of those advanced techniques that really helps to separate the casual players from absolute Mario Kart legends. Rail grinding and wall riding aren't just flashy moves, they're legitimate racing strategies that can completely transform your track times. You can jump onto walls or rails using a charge jump, which you can activate while holding drift, but keeping the control stick in a completely neutral position. Then when you release the charge jump, you'll go for a ride if it's into a wall or high enough to help you reach one of the rails. You also get the same effect by using a trick jump off a ramp if it leads you into a wall or onto a rail. Oh, and make sure you always trick off the wall or rail when transitioning back to the track, as this is going to give you an extra speed boost, just like if you were to trick normally. Now, riding every wall and rail without a plan isn't the right strategy either, which takes me to my next big mistake that I see from beginners, and that's not learning the shortcuts. You see, it's not just enough to master the wall riding and rail grinding techniques. You also need to learn all the tracks and the specific locations where you can get the maximum boost possible using these new mechanics. Now, if you're a beginner or even an amateur Mario Kart player, don't worry, this will take some time if you really want to master this. Every Mario Kart track has hidden paths, and if you don't know them, you're racing a longer course than everyone else. Now, this isn't just about shaving off milliseconds. Some shortcuts can give you entire position advantages that completely change race outcomes. To find these, you can spend time in solo races or even free roam, exploring every suspicious gap, alternative path, or decorative element. Of course, you can always just look up a video here on YouTube as well. You also need to learn which shortcuts require specific items, techniques, or perfect timing. Most of the best shortcuts in Mario Kart World will require you to take advantage of the new mechanics. And trust me, these are going to take a lot of practice before you're confident enough to try them in an online race. And for some of the riskiest shortcuts, you'll always need to consider where you're at in the race and if they're worth trying or not. Pros don't just know the shortcuts, they know which shortcuts to use based on their current race position, item inventory, and remaining laps. That level of strategic thinking is truly what separates the good players from some of the best players in the world. Now, if you want to get good using shortcuts, then make sure you don't make this last mistake, and that's ignoring the time trials mode. Time trials is your secret training ground, yet it's one of the most underutilized modes for beginners. Time trials help you to perfect your racing lines without item interference. You can learn every corner of the track intimately. Not only that, you can even see how you stack up against the best players in the world by downloading Ghost data. You can also try out different kart setups here, although keep in mind the best karts for time trials aren't always the best karts for an actual race. In time trials, you don't need to worry at all about items, so acceleration isn't nearly as important. Speed is the name of the game here. If you make it a habit, though, of regularly playing time trials and trying to beat your previous times, you'll slowly start to notice small micro adjustments to shave seconds off your time. Then you'll start recognizing optimal racing lines instinctively during the actual races. Going into those tight corners will become smoother, your drift timing will be perfect, and your overall track knowledge will just be second nature. So those are my top 10 beginner mistakes holding you back. If you want to see 25 essential tips that I wish I knew sooner, then check out the video on the left side of your screen now. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.